Hello, Pernille.
Hello.
Thank you. um, I would like to ask a couple questions about psychosomatic.
Hmm?
Yes, I think you're very good in that. I heard, like a few times you explained that, and I just love to go that because for me it makes total sense how body mind connected and what is happening.
Yeah.
Um, so on Saturday morning, I woke up and there was like I scrolled through Facebook and I noticed some kind of poster about scams, and I could see them fearful thoughts coming into her head, but like I wasn't like I was doing anything. It just like came and it's just gone. And next thing I'm just lying in bed and just like, oh, this actually feels very familiar. Let's feel into that. And then I just like was lying there in bed, and for about like an hour, roughly an hour, there was like a lot going on in tummy area, like what we normally call fear. But
Yeah.
it was very like you were saying about walking into them rooms. It really felt like I walked into that room, left the door opened, and that creature walked with me. And that was just walking, like it's like a ghost, like moving everywhere and like sniffing, like getting to know everything, and just that moving and moving and moving. And I was lying there in bed, and it's just like, you have an all space here. You can stay, you can go, you don't have to do anything. You can have like a whole body, you can do whatever you want. And I'm here, I'm here. And that was just like moving different ways. Like a couple times it just felt like it's covered me as a blanket, but in an hour time it just went itself, like vanished. And
Yeah.
it was beautiful, beautiful. So on Monday I woke up and there was some kind of I noticed, oh, this is familiar as well. And that was different. That was like it felt something about like sadness and me feeling small, and like life is too heavy and like it's too much burden and I can't handle. I just felt like I'm lifting concrete slab,
Yeah.
carrying life like as heavy as that, and I'm a small kid struggling to carry that heavy weight. And
Yeah.
there was like a lot going on in chests that day, and then I just felt it like building and building and building. And at lunchtime it's just like out crying. And then like so from lunchtime I was like crying and crying and crying and more and more and more. And so today I woke up and like a lot of some psychosomatics were just, clicking into places. And I was like, oh, like, when something happens to your like limbs, arms, hands, and legs, it's just like, don't move, don't do. And next thing was, oh, and something with your speech, don't speak. Because if you say something, it's much worse than keeping quiet. So like brain just, like puts like a block to speaking.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation. Because when I was 5, I had a very strong stutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I sat down later on, and I remembered, so it just came up because my dad, he died with a lung cancer. And I remember that Monday when I was sitting there, and it just felt like, there's such a pressure that's like, it's like very just pressure on your chest, like that concrete slab in your chest.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, and yeah, that Monday there was as well, like, I don't want to leave, I don't want to die. It was just like, no, no, no. And I just felt like, I was like a bouncing ball, just bouncing, like, no, 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 and like forming this ball here, like big ball of no, and just shrinking like a green into no.
Mm.
And so I was sitting today and I just remember that dad, like he died with that lung cancer and that heaviness and just like no to life, because breathing is like life. It's basically life. And and then, like I remember when because he had to start to work when he was a child. He was like born nearly 100 years ago. And so a couple times he nearly died he was like 5-ish when he nearly died with that lung infection, pneumonia. Yeah, yeah. So, and I just, yeah, like, all this, like, life is burden, and I'm too small to handle to all that. I think I'm just, God's projection from my dad, because I remember it was like a couple of weeks ago, I realized like all shameful stuff I got, actually that's from my mom.
Yeah.
So I just was sitting today and I was thinking, like, there's nothing of all this is mine. Neither mom's stuff, neither dad's stuff. They just like handle here, and you carry this program over. So I would like to, if you could talk about a wee bit of stuttering. That's, yeah, like a child when I was couldn't, because I remember mom was telling, like, when I want to start to speak something, I get, and I can't start. So she was taking me to therapist to work with that. And also, that's lung cancer, what that means. And if you remember last time we talked, I asked you about because I noticed how important it is here to speak up and to say things. And I start to listen to the book No Bad Parts about internal family systems.
Yeah.
And since that, it's just resonated here so well. Uh, like since that time, I just really allowed all them voices to come up. Any situation, it's like a V life. It just comes up, expresses itself, whatever it wants to say, with all them sensations and body expressions, and it's gone. And it's
Yeah.
next one, and
Yeah.
it's actually makes like feels like life is much lighter and easier
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
not
Yes.
suppressing them voices.
Yeah.
So
I would like actually to keep it at that, because you're bringing up a lot of things, and I could sit and talk for 2 hours about the things that you. The thing, no, 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 it's a good thing. Don't ever, try to hold anything back. What I would like for you to keep focusing on and working with, because I'm afraid that you're gonna be too much of a fan, going on everything at the same time. I would like for you to focus on the experience that you had the one day where you could be with the fear. You read about the scams and you felt the fear, and you were just lying in bed and had that flowy feeling with like the little ghost going into all the different rooms and all the nooks and crannies in the room where the fear was there, and noticing that. And that when you described that, you had a lightness about you.
it was
When
lovely.
Yeah, exactly. But when you started to describe the day after, where it was like heavy concrete on the chest and there was lots of crying, and the day after that, where it was like, didn't want to do anything, and there was just like no, no, no to everything. Um, I would like for you to stay with those experiences, and see if you can get the same, because everything is happening in your mind, right? None of this is real. All of this is happening in your mind, and you're doing spring cleaning in something that is connected with mom and dad, the things you have copied from mom, the things you have copied from dad, because we are just a copy paste of.
Mm-hmm.
When we as women become 60 years old, we are 80% like our mom. For men, when you are 60 years old, you are 80% like your dad. And nobody likes to hear that. But would like for you to really look at it as good news, because it means that now, you know them so well. You know where all the things that you detest and hate about them, where that is. There you go. You know what to work with. It's not going to change. It's still going to be 80%, but it's just going to be easier to be you, because we are nothing but a copy paste. This, meat suit, it's a copy paste. The mirror neurons in our brain, it's a copy paste. There is no I anywhere in here that's a little unique, little sprinkle one that is not at all like mom and dad. Not happening. But copy paste. So I would like for you to look into those two characters that you project onto mom and project onto dad, and see how that in your bubble of reality is a reflection of you. Something that needs your compassion, something that needs unhooking, something that just needs your presence, and see if you can be with it first be with it in a way where it is heavy and it is concrete. And can you be in a body that's heavy, full of concrete? And then just stay with that and see where it takes you. And it's not for you to have the goal of both of them becoming little ghosts that is just happy and light, but just for you to be in a biochemical space where everything that happens is fine. Everything that happens is fine, because when it's not, then it is that we are crying and we have, pain and obstruction and stiffness and all of that. It's because we have issues with what is. Um, so yeah, if I can ask you to work with that instead. Is that
It
okay?
was, yeah, it was actually interesting because I was that evening, I was talking to a friend and I was, like really sharing what is happening. And while I was talking, it's like you talk and you reflect simultaneously. And
Mhm.
then at the end of conversation, it was all gone. It's just, like mind sees its own created story and just like nothing of that is actually happening.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just
Yes.
like, just,
Yes. And it's exactly that unhooking I'm talking about. That when you talk about a story, it needs to be released as much as if you're telling me a fairy tale, Hansel and Gretel, or, Ugly Duckling or something like that. You tell me a fairy tale, and when you told it, it's like, oh, and then life goes on. That is the density that our story should have, because exactly where is the past? All of that doesn't exist except in your mind. What happens to a thought when you don't think it? So it should have that lightness about it. If it doesn't, then it's because there are hooks into it that needs to be felt, um, not in the head, but really felt in the body. Detaching the thoughts about it, just staying with the body, so it becomes, light again.
mm-hmm, holding on stories.
Yeah, yeah. Notice if you are, because if you can cry a full day about a story, then there are hooks in it.
Because once I start to feel into sensations, it's like really, really squishing and building up here. And
Yeah,
then, like one thought and it's just like, oh, comes out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What about cancer, lung cancer?
Well, again, I'm not comfortable sitting and talking about it. If you have lung cancer, we can talk about it. Otherwise, it's speculative, and then you're gonna project lots of, things I
Okay,
say, that and all of that, and it's just creating another story, which is not
okay.
relevant now.
Yeah.
Uh, Lungs is about sadness. It's about
Uh,
grief. It's about grief and sadness. So when we have anything with the lungs, struggled breathing and all that, it's always about, grief and sadness. But
mhm,
don't spend any time sitting and analyzing your thoughts about that situation, because it's not really relevant. It's a movie.
mhm. But it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, with a life like you just said that he had, makes sense.
Mm. And stuttering as a child.
Yeah, again, there's so many family dynamics in that. It can be, inherited, and it can be, psychosomatic. You're not stuttering now. You're very clear when you talk now. So it's more about, for that, I would, instead of me saying something about it, I can talk about that for half an hour. Instead of me saying something about it, I would like for you to sit in quiet, close your eyes, feel into that age, and feel, how does it feel in your body? Because where is the past? The past is in your mind. So you can seven feather go back to that age, feel in the body how it felt to be that child, and then you will feel the answer.
Yeah, that's like that internal family system. Yeah, yeah. And it's just like the me parts, they are communicating so well here.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So welcome. So welcome. So good to see you.